Welcome brothers and sisters to the Light of Zambia channel. I'm your usual host, Procurious Mwape. So in today's video, we'll be discussing food reserve agents. So the reason why we're discussing food reserve agents because in the Light of Zambia, we are promising that once we are voted into power, once Ubuntu Model of Governance is introduced in Zambia, then we are going to make sure that we broaden the mandate of the food reserve agents. So why is that necessary? To start off, I think I'll need to start by reading the mandate of food reserve agents as it is today, as can be accessed from the website of the food reserve agents. So we are going to the website and who we are. So it says, as I read, the Food Reserve Agents, FRA, was established in 1995 by the Government of the Republic of Zambia through the Food Reserve Act, Chapter 225 of the Laws of Zambia, and it continues its existence as if established under the Food Reserve Act number 6 of 2020. The Food Reserve Act number 6 of 2020 is an act that continues the existence of the Food Reserve Agents and redefines its functions, reconstitutes the board of the agents, continues the existence of the National Strategic Food Reserve, repeals and replaces the Food Reserve Act number 225 and provides for matters connected with or incidental to the foregoing. Functions. The functions of the agents include the management of National Strategic Food Reserve as provided in Section 5, subsection 1 and 2, A to E, of the Food Reserve Act number 6 of 2020 and are as follows. So, bullet number 1, market and trade a designated agricultural commodity. Bullet number 2, purchase, import, sell, trade or export a designated agricultural commodity. Bullet number 3, establish, manage, lease and maintain a storage facility and equipment to be used in relation to a designated agricultural commodity. The next bullet is collect information related to the marketing of a designated agricultural commodity, and the last bullet, advise the minister on matters relating to the National Strategic Food Reserve. So that is the mandate of Food Reserve Agency today as we speak. Now, when you listen to this, especially on the functions, it clearly states that the Food Reserve Agency in its current form, its mandate is purely to do with business. It has the mandate of purchasing and selling. Do you see? Or trading in grains or a certain designated agricultural produce. That is its mandate. So, the government time and again has been releasing maize, for example, to millers so that they could produce mealie-meal to cushion the shortage of the commodity on the local market. But what has been so surprising is that mostly, even when FRA is able to provide these grains at a cheaper rate to these private millers, the price of mealie-meal has never been coming down, so that the average Zambian is able to afford buying a bag of mealie-meal. Now, that is exactly where the problem is, and we have to somehow find a way to address it. That's why in the Light of Zambia we are saying it is important that we find means of making sure that FRA is repurposed. And this is how we envision the repurposing of FRA. Instead of it just being with the mandate of just purchasing of grains and trading of grains, then we should make sure that FRA is able to produce its own mealie-meal. Because we understand that mealie-meal is the staple food for Zambia. That's where we get our nshima from. So mealie-meal must be readily available on the market and cheap so that every Zambian, regardless of where they are coming from, regardless of their financial or economic status, should be able to afford a bag of mealie-meal, so that we are able to have a health citizenry, and that will translate into high GDP. Because remember, when you are satisfied, you are full, you are okay, your body is properly functional, then you are able to produce more goods and or services, and that should translate into a higher GDP figure. And what does that mean? It means the life standard, the living standard of the people of Zambia will improve. Now, we know that it cannot improve when we leave the commodity of mealie-meal in private hands all the time. Because these private millers, their business, or should I say their interest in doing business, is simply to make profit. When they access our maize from FRA sheds, they will produce that mealie-meal at a cheaper cost of production. Then what do? They will sell it wherever to be able to fetch them a higher profit margin, so that they get the best out of what they are selling. That is exactly the model of doing business. We do business because we want to earn some profit. So, if truly we want to make sure that every Zambian is finding ways to access this very important commodity, mealie-meal, therefore we have to make sure that, one, we keep strategic food reserves at 3 levels, 3 tiers. The first tier is at household level. Let us encourage every household to keep something to eat. For example, if they produce 20 bags of maize, then they would keep 5 bags, depending on the number of people that are in that particular household. They would keep 5 bags and sell the remaining 15 bags. And there should be food near to them. And that's why now we're talking about the chiefdom. So the chiefdom must be able to have strategic food reserves also. So we are saying FRA will be present in each and every chiefdom. Remember, in the Light of Zambia project, we are saying once Ubuntu Model of Governance is introduced in Zambia, we are going to make sure that local governments, or should I say councils, constituencies, and districts are all going to be devolved to a chiefdom. So the chiefdom is going to become this governance structure that will be looking at all local issues, and the overall governor of the chiefdom shall be the chief of that particular chiefdom or chieftainess. So the chieftainess or the chief will know how many people are in that particular chiefdom. Therefore, they will know how many tons of maize, for example, they would need to keep, so that they will be able to look after their own people in that particular chiefdom. You see, by so doing, then we are cutting this bureaucracy which is between the district and the minister. For example, in a district you could be going hungry on a daily basis, but because the minister is so far away from you, it is very difficult for you to make some decision to offload maize so that people have what to eat. You'll have to wait upon the minister's decision. And you don't know if that minister is thinking of exporting that maize, which you think would be necessary to be given to the community. So you are not assured that you'll be given a chance to offload that commodity to the community so that they benefit from it. That's why we are saying let food be managed at chiefdom level, household level, and then the surplus. If the nation experiences a bumper harvest, then the surplus is what should be taken out to nation strategic food reserves. Because we know now that we have enough in every chiefdom and in every home. So what is now at national level is to be given out in case you have a disaster. In case you have a chiefdom that is hit with a disaster. The nation must come in. If that chiefdom is not able to sort out that problem by themselves, the nation must be able to come in and solve that problem for that particular chiefdom. Or if there is a good market somewhere, and you have enough food in your country, every chiefdom is well stocked, then the surplus that you have at national strategic food reserve depots, that is what you are supposed to sell out. That is what you can export. So you're not saying it is wrong for FRA to sell or to trade in grains. No, we want that to continue happening. But we are saying FRA should also be present in chiefdoms so that FRA is able to provide a cheaper bag of mealie-meal to the poor people of that particular chiefdom, so that those that can afford this expensive mealie-meal, 350 kwacha for example, they can go and buy that brand. But to those that cannot afford to buy the brand which is going at 350 kwacha, should be able to find a cheaper one from FRA which is maybe at 110 kwacha for a 25 kg. Once we achieve that, then we are assured of proper food security in our nation. Quite alright, we appreciate the fact that government has put in this effort of providing or bring about the FISIP program. That is a good initiative. But of course, we understand the kind of weather that we are living in today. You could give your fertilizers in time and the rains do not come. Or you could give those fertilizers and then the rains come above normal. What happens to the harvest? The harvest is definitely compromised. That means there will be a hunger in the nation. So to make sure that we provide a lasting solution, yes, we have to maintain the FISIP program. That is a very, very good program. And we have to make sure that Food Reserve Agency is present in each and every chiefdom to provide food support or food security to the people of that particular chiefdom or in each and every chiefdom. So that is how we look at food management in the light of Zambia project. So once Ubuntu Model of Governance is introduced, we are going to devolve food reserve agents to each and every chiefdom, and we are going to make sure that we provide them with a milling plant so that they'll be able to produce their own mealie-meal. That will simplify so many things, and that will make sure that our people are always finding it easy to find food. Unlike the current situation where it's only the Minister of Agriculture that has power to allow you to sell the so-called community sales, to do community sales so that people can buy cheaper maize from FRA. And if they want, the Minister has the power to export that maize. And the country remains struggling to find where to buy mealie-meal. Because the mealie-meal that would remain then would be so expensive for the average Zambian. So we are saying we have to sort this problem out. And the way we sort it out is exactly the way I've explained here. So brothers and sisters, I encourage you to join the Light of Zambia movement, because it is the only movement that is providing solutions to the problems that we are facing today. There are so many politicians that are speaking about these things, but listen to them. Is anyone having any new idea that has never been explored among them? Surely you'll find there is no one. It is on the Light of Zambia movement that is having a new message, especially for the young people. We are forging a future for ourselves here. Remember, come 10 years going forward, this whole thing of providing food security for our nation will be right on our shoulders. So we have to start now to start putting in place measures that are going to make sure that we have proper food security in our nation, Zambia. So until we meet in the next video, I'm saying, let there be light.